What is up, everybody? Welcome to the On the Block podcast with Andrew Yalo. I'm here joined by some of the cast of Big Brother Minecraft Season 8. We have Aiden, Maxim, Ivy, Liz, and Brian joined here with me today. And today we're going to be recapping a whole bunch of stuff. We haven't done a podcast in like 2 weeks, so we may touch up about some of the stuff that happened in the previous episodes, but right now our main focus is on this latest episode that came out today, episode 11. So, Ivy, you comfortable there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If you guys are watching the podcast on YouTube, you can see everybody. We're all on Discord. It's almost midnight. We had a lot of complications heading into this episode here, but we're here and we're gonna recap everything that happened. So, since we last did a podcast, a whole bunch of stuff happened. I don't think we covered the triple eviction. Maybe we did, we didn't. But yeah, the triple eviction happened. Maxim won the triple eviction HOH. And Brad and Bimo were sent home. So that's basically what happened. I'm pretty sure we covered that. Now we went into this week after that. Someone remind me what happened. Who won HOH? I don't even remember. It was Aiden.
Aiden.
Oh, I thought you were raising your hand. Right. All right, Brian. Yeah, so Brian's here. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so Brian wins HOH week 5.
Oh.
This was like a crazy week. So much shit happened. Brian, like nothing really went your way. You nominated Jake for no reason. It was just really strange. But out of all of that happened that week, Beans ended up going home. That was the week we had Otev, which Robster made an appearance. Shout out to Robert Palin. So that was cool. Now we come to week 6 and Aiden's HOH. And a whole bunch of stuff didn't go Aiden's way. And Liz ends up going home. So that was a crazy week that happened. Liz is joined here with us today because Liz unfortunately wasn't able to get her time on a podcast. So Liz is coming and joining us on this podcast today. One of the most favorite house guests this season, Liz. It was a devastating eviction, actually. I think we have to kind of touch up on this. Liz, like, you were picked from the Egic, from all the viewers. You had everyone convinced you won this season, and you didn't win. So, do you think you would have won this season, Liz, if it wasn't for Brian?
Okay, well, you don't have to phrase it like that.
I don't think it's Brian's fault that I didn't win this season. Honestly, like, things happen the way they happen because it's how it is. I was really close to winning that HOH, which really burned my whole body. I was so sad. I thought for sure that week that I was okay, which is really it hurt me so bad that I went home because when I tell you that I trusted Aiden so much, I really, really did. I thought I was never hitting that block.
Right. Ever.
But very quickly, I realized there was a lot of things going on that I didn't know about, especially after he refused to put Brian up. I was kind of okay, this doesn't make any sense. And then me going home next to Madison didn't surprise me at all. Because based off of what I knew about the house, I just knew that my best chances of staying in the game would be next to Brian. And that was probably the only way I was going to stay.
Yeah, and you did eviction. Tell Aiden that, and you warned Aiden that you were not going to survive next to Madison. And Aiden, when Liz told you that, you may not remember this, it was almost a year ago. Why didn't you listen to Liz in that moment? Why did you refuse to nominate Brian?
Because I still believed in the Mystery Inc.
Right. Okay.
That's honestly the best answer I could possibly give.
Okay.
And also, I thought Liz was a very likable person in the house, and I didn't expect Jake and Brian to flip, so that was pretty naive of me. But yeah, I only nominated Liz because I thought she was likable and no one would evict her.
Right. No, Ivy, I did see you just get up, but I want to ask you a question here because this does pertain to the vote flip that happened. Are you okay? Welcome back. So Jake wasn't present almost the entire episode, right? So Jake is like gone. All the viewers in the live chat were like, "Where the hell is Jake's like screen time? What is going on?" So then Jake's MIA the whole episode, but then all of a sudden comes in last second and is like, "Ivy, we got to flip this vote on Liz because Liz is close to Aiden, and we got to weaken Aiden." So when this happened, like obviously you don't want to evict Liz, and you see this vote flip happening right before your eyes. So what's kind of your reaction to that?
Well, it wasn't my favorite thing, but I just didn't want to tell him outright no because I didn't want him to be like, Ivy's not someone I can trust. But it was like upsetting. I still assumed Liz would stay.
Right.
So I didn't really do much about it because I'm like, well, Brian's not gonna fucking flip on Liz. And
yeah. And
I didn't think Jake would really be that difficult, but he was.
Brian, what convinced you to flip last second? Because you probably when did you decide to flip on that vote to get Liz out?
After the events of last week, I was actually like 50-50 still on evicting Madison or Liz. Because if I knew I've evicted Madison, I'd had the favor of Aiden and Ivy still. But I knew if I flipped on Liz, I would get out a social threat because Aiden had told me prior that Maxim and Madison, they would have both voted me out against Liz. I was like, oh, Liz is actually like a really big social threat. So I was like, oh, there's two sides to this, and I have to pick which one is best for me because both of them were social threats, whether the audience sees it or not, because they both would have stayed against me. So I was in a tough spot that week.
Right.
Being this week, though, especially. What?
I didn't know that.
I think you're told Madison and Maxim are going to vote you out against Liz. So you take it as, okay, so Liz is a really good social threat instead of, oh, so these people aren't really close with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like to answer why you didn't mention this to me or Madison, that this had been said to you?
Damn, y'all are coming for Brian right now. I don't think he's prepared for this.
It was because I was prepared to flip on both of you next week.
Well, no, like the thing about it is that it was probably true, but because I remember I didn't know that like y'all were a 3. I knew that you were like somewhat like in the same corner. I didn't know that there was a final 3, but it surprised me so much watching the episode back that y'all were just ready to ditch him.
Yeah,
like,
that was pretty rough.
I saw that conversation with Madison, like, and you guys were like, what if like it was Liz instead of Brian? And I was like, wow.
Yeah. And then it's funny because like Brian, you were told, well, sorry, Maxim, you go.
Well, I would just like to say that it was much more me than Madison because I kind of picked up on the fact Brian was playing middle, and I was trying to like tell Madison like, hey, I have not spoken to Brian since prior to the triple. I don't think he's in our corner as much as like you say he is.
Right.
And so there very much so was a time where me and Madison were trying to get Beans, and then Beans went home. And then me and Madison were trying to get Liz, and then Liz also went home. And then as seen in the episode, we did try to get Jake, and then I ended up on the block next to Jake.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
They were steadily trying to replace you.
Yeah.
Y'all were just so not riding with Brian, which is crazy because Brian, like Aiden told you numerous times that Maxim and Madison were willing to dispose you in the game, but you were still kind of loyal to them. So when you heard that information, like, did you buy it? Like, were you still just blindly loyal to Maxim and Madison at that point in the game?
I have bought it and I have didn't buy it because I was still like 50-50 because I wanted to trust them, but I also knew that it was getting to that point where I had to start flipping on people because I had been playing middle a whole lot before. Like before I went HOH, I was kind of playing middle a lot because I was in that alliance with Jake and Aiden, but I was also on Maxim and Madison's side trying to, get those two out. So I was really playing middle until I went HOH where I had to show my cards a bit. But yeah, I was half buying it, half not because I still wanted to believe. But
right.
I had to do what I had because I had to go for it.
Right. So the blind side, it worked. Liz, you ended up going home. And it shocked the entire fandom of the show. I genuinely think that no one expected that. There was tons of people saying that it was one of the greatest like blindsides or one of the greatest, episodes that led up to that. So, I honestly think it was such a well crafted blindside, and it was just
crazy.
Y'all did such a good job. Everyone did. There's such a good. Everyone played such a good part into the blind side because everyone, I don't know, just the way it was. I was able to edit it and showcase it was really fun. So
I knew like the irony behind knowing that I was going home and watching everyone think that I was going to win was heartbreaking, because I knew as soon as I went home that it was going to confuse a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because like me riding the top of the Edgic for so long, I was really confused of why people thought I was going to win. But the way that the story was kind of playing out, it was like I was kind of like a decoy.
Yeah, I will say that I kind of did that on purpose a little bit. Like I would say that when I edited the show, I kind of subconsciously knew, just based on knowing that when the first few episodes came out and I didn't have like the whole rest of the season edited, I noticed that Liz was sort of getting the favored, like she's getting a good edit, like people started thinking that Liz would win the show. So I kind of took that into account. I was like, okay, we'll work with this. So I made Liz look super good in the episodes. I gave her maybe a little bit more screen time than she needed, but it also, Liz was driving the story for a majority of the season too. So it wasn't like intentionally like, let's show Liz more than she needs to be shown. And it wasn't like, let's not show people, like, for example, like, let's not show people like Brad because we don't need to show Brad because Brad just literally didn't do shit. Anyway, aside from that, no, but like it was on purpose, the fact that we wanted to make Liz look like the winner, so that when this did happen and this episode came out, it was a complete shock to everybody, because I really do think that even people that were watching the episode, seeing the blindside happen, everyone was so convinced that, Madison's got to go home, right? Like Madison has to go. Like there's no way Liz goes home. So I think I had people really convinced up until the minute Liz went home that she wasn't going home. But aside from that, Liz, one hell of a game. If you ever come back for All-Stars, good fucking luck. But yeah, anyway, so that wraps out episode 10 and everything else that led up to this eviction. So now Liz is in the jury. I think we have 4 or 5 people in the jury now. And we go into a Big Brother Minecraft Classic. It's one of the relay competitions. I think we called this, I don't even know what the fuck we called this comp, but it's one of the relay comps where you got to go back and forth 50 times. Ivy wins the head of household competition, which now we have a second, like another person getting HOH for a second time. So it's interesting. To my shock, editing this, I thought Ivy was going to be undoubtedly loyal to Aiden after Ivy was just blindsided. But for some reason, Ivy is so quick. Why were you so quick to turn on Aiden and get him out? Like, what? Why was that?
It's because, like, it just didn't seem realistic. It's, okay. Aiden at the time just seemed like a dying horse. Like, I don't know how to say it, but, like, everybody else was so easily flipped. Like, Jaden was like, okay, let's take out Aiden. Brian was like, okay, let's take out Aiden. And then Madison and Maxim were like, okay, let's take out Aiden. And it was like, okay, let's take out Aiden. Because it's like, what's the point of staying with someone if they're just going to go home anyways?
So what I'm hearing is that you were willing to do the house's dirty work. Oh,
yeah. What's wrong with that?
I don't know. So you didn't. So did you ever consider before we get into like Aiden's amazing pitch later? Did you ever consider keeping Aiden as like a shield for yourself, because he is like that big of a threat in the game, because he's like kind of wronged so many people?
I mean, kind of, but my biggest issue with Aiden was that he could have just comped out or something. Like he could have just like comped out to the end, because he was like one of the best comp players there. So that was the only thing I was really like afraid of.
Right.
Because I don't want to like just throw my hand and for someone that's just gonna like, I don't know what the fuck I'm trying to say. Yes, I thought about it, but it just seemed like a better option to basically appease everyone and then maybe guarantee my safety for the next week after.
Right. Okay. Aiden, I want to turn to you because obviously this was a very pivotal point in your game at this moment because you had just one HOH, you put up half the house, nothing went your way. One of your closest allies, Liz, just went home, and now Ivy wins HOH and you don't know it yet, but she's planning on putting you up. So you were blindsided, obviously. You wanted Madison to go. You wanted to split up Maxim and Madison. Doesn't go your way. So now your strategy at this point is to now sulk and make everyone feel bad for you. So kind of elaborate on that.
Sorry.
So I was obviously sad that Liz went home, and I was pretty upset that people that I thought were my closest allies flipped on me. But I'm not someone who's going to like sulk like that. That's respect it. But I thought, I saw there were obviously duos. I saw Jake and Brian were a duo, and I saw that Maxim and Madison were a duo. And I had a feeling that whoever was winning the HOH was going to nominate me. It's final 6. There's no need to backdoor me, so nominate me right away. So when I found out that Ivy won HOH, that's when I came to an idea to go into press mode on purpose. Everything I said, like about me being sad, like that to the Jake, like me sulking, wasn't really true. I mean, obviously I was upset and I wish things did play out differently, but I wasn't like depressed. I was not sulking. I knew Ivy was an emotional player, and the only way I can. The only way, based off conversations I had with Ivy, I can tell that Ivy is, she's a kind-hearted person. Like that's what I've gathered from Ivy. That's what I mean. Is Ivy has a good heart. Let me say that Ivy has a really good heart.
Yes.
So I knew if I
right.
pulled on her heartstrings a little bit, maybe got some emotions, I could potentially save myself. I knew I was going up as soon as Ivy won HOH, and I was fine with that. And so then Ivy wins veto, and that was the best case scenario for me. So I went to Ivy, and I shed some tears to her. I needed to pull on her heartstrings a little bit because I had a feeling, we've kind of had a good connection throughout the entire season up to this point. I knew if I had pulled on her heartstrings good enough and made a good pitch that she was going to use the veto on me, and I can convince her to put Maxim up instead because Maxim gave me something on a silver platter when her and Madison were bragging about how they're going to easily win this game. Like this game's in the bag. And I was like, thanks. I immediately went to the HOH room or after the veto, I immediately went up there, took 15 minutes to talk to Ivy because I wanted to make sure no one was that was, I did that intentionally. I took that long intentionally because I wanted no one in the HOH
Yeah, you
room.
fucking whore. I don't know if I can say that.
I wanted no one in the HOH.
Let me just say for the record, production was rushing Aiden to wrap the fuck up. We had to cut out us like telling Aiden to shut the fuck up, but we kept butting in. Was like, Aiden, you gotta wrap it up. You gotta wrap it up. And Aiden's like, all right, give me 1 sec.
Yeah,
I was not letting anyone else in the HOH room. I was making sure I was the last person I was talking to. Pull on some heartstrings. We went to the veto ceremony, and then I get taken off, and I had a smile on my face. That's my view. That's the move I made. I call it my own funeral, but you can call it whatever
Aiden's
you want.
Funeral, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
great.
That's obviously what happens after that. I mean that move, and I remember telling production when that happened, we were all freaking out. We were like, Aiden, you just stole $500 out of my bank account. We were so convinced that was going down as one of the greatest moves in the show's history. I
appreciate that.
It was literally Aiden. It was Dan's funeral, but in Big Brother Minecraft. It was crazy.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So we didn't do the ceremony, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah. So before that though, Ivy nominates you and Jake, right? So Jake gets nominated after Ivy and Jake have a heart-to-heart in the HOH room. It was like, okay, well, don't nominate me, right? And then Ivy's like, okay, I'll think about it. But so Ivy's also, let's just get the record straight here. It's been almost 14 hours at this point of the game going on. We're reaching the point where everyone's getting delusional. Production's just having a ball. Like we're starting to care less about the show, and we're just having a fun time, right? But Ivy, on the other hand, was delusional, screaming, getting cranky, pissed off. So Ivy's
Also, her regular attitude.
Oh yeah, oh for sure. Damn.
That was sick.
Damn.
Who said that?
Not me.
Oh, okay.
That's crazy.
That was fuck.
But yeah, so Ivy nominates Aiden and Jake. You know, it's a blindside on Jake. Jake's kind of like, okay, that's weird. But at the same time, it wasn't really shown too much in the episode, but like there was a conversation where Madison and Maxim were talking about how they wanted to swap out Brian for Jake, like in that final 3 alliance. So you kind of see that happening, and then Jake confirms it with a confessional during the veto that says, and he says, "Oh, I want Maxim to win this veto because it's our final 3 alliance, like the new final 3 alliance, and I don't want Ivy to win." So because of that, now we can sort of see like Brian is still bottom man in the totem pole in this Maxim and Madison final 3, and it's like I don't think Brian, I don't think you saw that yet in the game. I think you were still convinced that you were going to go with them, which you ended up taking the shot at Maxim later in the week, but we'll get to that. Let's see. So after Ivy wins the veto, we get back into the house. And Maxim's still pretty confident. Maxim, you were really confident to the point.
I was overconfident.
You were really overconfident. You were just having a fun time. And what happens in the living room with
I was living my fun little life. I was having a good time. I was like cheery, happy, like, oh my fucking God. Ivy just won. This, like, why would she get more blood on her hands? Like, she's just gonna leave it the same. Aiden's getting out. That's my biggest threat. Gone. Like, I was on my little high horse because honestly, at that point, Aiden was the only person who had gone for me, which is really funny because I ended up on the block twice, and one of the times wasn't Aiden. But like, Aiden was the only person who had targeted me and been like, "This is a threat."
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, this is like perfect. And so, I may or may not have been a little careless and did not realize that Aiden was in a call with me and Madison. And a little something along the lines of, I'm so ready to win already, may have slipped. And honestly, I stand by that because I think had Aiden not been in that call, I think I had the game in the bag.
Yeah. So, it's
Oops.
crazy. Aiden, when you heard that, you used that and you were like, you just went right up to Ivy and said that. It was just crazy because like when I was editing the episode, I showed Maxim that, and Maxim was like, "Wait, that didn't happen. Aiden wasn't there for that." And I was like, "No, Aiden was there for that. Aiden was there." So Maxim for almost a year thought of that. Aiden did not
because
hear that.
bitch, why the fuck would I say that in front of Aiden? Why would I say that?
That's what
because I didn't know.
You don't know who's in the call with you unless you're checking like physically because we're in the game talking to each other. Like we're actually looking at each other in the game. We're not looking at our team speak. So we actually don't know because it doesn't actually show it. Like it's not like Discord where we have a notification of who joins.
Yeah.
So anybody can join and they can just sit there listening and we wouldn't know. So that's like, oh.
Yeah.
I got boof.
I do have to go because I do have to teach kids tomorrow.
Oh, you're good, Liz. Yeah, it's all good. Appreciate you coming out to the podcast today. Everyone, spread some love to Liz.
Round of applause.
Round of
I
applause.
do want to say before I go, I feel like people are going to be just as surprised about the outcome of this episode as the outcome of last episode.
Oh, for sure.
Because people love some Maxim.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but everyone in the fucking like thing that I put in the Discord said that I was going home next. Y'all have no faith in me. I wasn't even doing that bad.
Hey, I don't know. I mean, when they see Aiden and Jacob, I'm pretty sure people are gonna think Aiden's going home. So we'll see. That's what I think. But bye, Liz. Appreciate you.
Bye, Liz.
Bye, Liz.
Bye, sister.
Yeah. Bye, sister.
Bye, sister.
All right, let me get back. Let's get back on track. Yeah, so we were talking about Maxim, about the whole. You didn't know Aiden was in there in the room when you said that. That's crazy. Aiden gives the pitch of his life at the veto meeting. So we go right to the veto meeting after that because Aiden said, like, wasted all of our time. We went 5 minutes over a lot of time that we gave. Aiden was just wasting time in the HOH room with Ivy, giving the pitch of his life, and we go right to the veto meeting, and Ivy willingly was just like, yeah, that was a great pitch, and I want to shake up the game. And what is Maxim going to do for my game? Like, win a comp and get me out? So.
Well, also, like, Aiden was right. He was hitting, like, a lot of good notes. My favorite thing is when he said, like, something about it made me feel some type of way. He's like, let's take out all these bitches. Me and you final two to the end. And something about it, I was like, oh my God, I love that.
Right.
Let's do that. And I don't know, it hit everything right. It was like, and then when he also said, I did not nominate you last week and I had to nominate so many people, I was like, why the fuck am I nominating him again? Like, he has proven to be loyal to me.
Yeah.
So why should I even take him out?
Yeah, it was a little moment of clarity for you.
It definitely was.
Yeah, because I mean, even just like for me, and I know the viewers are gonna think this too, because I mean, even though I was there the day of, like, I still have the same questions I believe that the viewers would have, because like one of my biggest questions was like, why the fuck is Ivy putting up Aiden when y'all were together last week? Like, y'all, like, they flipped on you guys. I don't know, but
yeah, we were the only two that were outside of what happened. And I nominated him. And I guess it wasn't like the smartest thing. Yeah. I just saw him as a big threat that he needed to go home. But him talking to me definitely cleared up everything. I was like, yeah, I should not be doing this. This is not the smartest thing.
I think had the circumstances just been a little different, I think Aiden still, like, I think Aiden does go home that week, but like Aiden just really like hit all the points on the head. Like, Aiden had everything going for him with that pitch, so it just worked out. Maybe if Maxim had time to go into the HOH room, who knows? I don't know what would have happened.
That's why I hogged it. I wanted to be the last one to talk to Ivy.
You hogged it like Hodgins. I don't know why I said that.
That was disgusting.
Yeah. Anyway, we're just gonna move.
That's a joke.
We're just gonna move past that. Anyway, let's see. So yeah, Ivy used the veto on Aiden. It's the biggest move ever. Maxim goes up. So Maxim, when you went up here, it didn't seem like it was much of a shock to you. In the audio, it doesn't show this, but like everybody that was in the living room had already guessed that was gonna happen because Aiden was taking so long.
Yeah.
So in the moment, did you think you were gonna go home?
It was mentioned in the episode that I just had a gut feeling that Brian was gonna flip, and I honestly think the second that it was like we would get messages in game being like meeting in however many minutes, and the messages kept ticking down, and it was still Aiden and Ivy in that room, and I was like, okay, something's going on up there.
Yeah,
it's gonna get used. I know if anyone's going up, it's gonna be me, and honestly, I think. I was really like heartbroken to feel it, but like I feel like it showed in my like eviction speech. I felt like I had gave up, and I felt like there was only so much I could do other than be like, oh yeah, I've had your back before, you know.
Right.
I haven't broken any promises. Like I'm a trustworthy person, but like there's only so much you can do when you're a social threat for literally like playing as yourself. Like it was hard for me to really quickly think of a way to like step out of who I am and actually like think strategically in the span of like 10 minutes.
Right. And I did notice that so Brian had two pivotal conversations before the eviction. Talked to you, Maxim, talked to Jake. Now, the biggest difference between the two conversations was that I think you were a little bit flustered and you were scrambling on figuring out what to do. However, Jake actually made a pitch to Brian. Now, Brian, I don't know if that's what made you come to your decision easier, because I'm not sure if you were still wavering, but we'll go back to the Maxim conversation in a bit, because that's a really funny conversation. But Brian, yeah. So what was the deciding factor of your vote this week? That I don't know if the episode showed it, but like, what was it?
The deciding factor was ultimately just the jury, because I feel like Maxim had probably every jury vote at that point, and I feel like even after, she would still get the votes after, because even I was going to vote for her if I was going in the jury. So I mean, like I can't deny game. Game is game, and I see it. So if I see that Maxim is a jury threat, and I don't know, and I feel like I could probably like edge out Jake, then I feel like strategically for me at least, because I haven't, been like the most in your face player or like the most shown player of the season. I feel like as that, I just have people sit out before me, so I had to just take out the people who probably would sit out more than me if I was in that if I was going to the final two. So I was like, okay, Maxim has these jury votes lined up. I don't know where Jake stands in the jury, so I feel like Maxim is just the ultimate social threat overall. But I was really still 50-50.
So like you were still 50-50, right? Okay.
Yeah, I was still 50-50.
So, okay, because I think one of the questions we're going to get, and I could be wrong, but I feel like the viewers are going to question if you had your mind made up when talking to Maxim and when talking to Jake, when they were both kind of talking to you before the eviction, because there was the one line, and it's one of the, I almost made this the episode title, but I didn't, because I actually forgot what I made it, but I almost made this the episode title because Brian says, I have had your back. And at that moment, that set off a red flag in Maxim's head, because that was like, oh shit, like I thought we had Brian, but we don't, or we may not. But
anything that I thought I had at that point with Brian, I was like, well, shit, had.
Yeah.
Like I think if I were going to make a pitch at that time, I think I was like, oh, I gotta rethink everything. The fuck does he mean had? Like what?
Okay,
what
I have to explain myself. Because
please do.
Like I said, I didn't want to tell you both that I was 100% going to keep you, because I didn't want to have one of you going into the jury saying I was a liar. So in a split moment, I wasn't even thinking about it. In a split moment, I was like, oh, I have your, but then I was like, oh, I don't want to tell her that I 100% have her back. So like I have, and I had to correct myself. I was like, I have had your back. So I didn't even mean to say the comment. I was just like, okay, I want to be truthful with them about how I'm wavering. I think I worded it a bit wrong, because I didn't mean to I didn't mean to incite that chaos throughout Maxim's mind. I didn't do that to just mess with Maxim. I was literally just telling her the truth, but I just slipped up when I was trying to, because it was crazy, because I didn't think we were going to be in this position. I thought Aiden was going home this week, and then the veto gets used, and now Maxim's, and I'm like, oh, I have to think about this now.
Yeah. So when you decided on keeping Jake, Jake makes the pitch. Jake, pitched as best as he could, because really there's only so many angles Jake could play, because Jake knows he's got Aiden's vote, knows he doesn't have Maxim's vote, so it really just came down to your vote. And like everyone knew, like going to that eviction, that Brian, you were the sole, you were the deciding vote, along with, you were the deciding vote last week too. So 2 weeks in a row, you were the deciding vote, and you were the center of everything that's going on in the house. So like, do you think that there's a reason why you ended up in that position in the game? Like,
I think it's because after my HOH, I was really like out there. Like after my HOH, obviously my HOH didn't go my way. So I really had some connections that were wavering. So people didn't think they had me 100%. So that pushed me to the deciding vote factor of, oh, we don't know where Brian's head is at anymore, because he was on our side before.
Yeah.
But now it seems like from his HOH that he's on their side. So it's a very I'm being thrown in between two universes. And I'm just in this loop of, am I going to this side or am I going to that side? And nobody knows where my head is at anymore now.
Right.
So I was just pushed into that position. I didn't mean to, but obviously, deciding vote, it's a big thing, because you decide who goes home, basically. Because last week, if I voted for Madison, then Madison was going home that week. But if I didn't vote for Madison, then Liz was going home that week. So deciding who gets evicted, that's pretty big. I didn't mean to get in that position, but
I guess you. So what ends up happening, Maxim? You end up going home on a vote 2-1. Now, Aiden, I want to turn to you, because there was one question I had in mind when editing this, and I think I already know the answer to this, but when you had found out that Jake had been secretly trying to get you out from Ivy, did at any point that did you ever question in your mind about, oh, maybe I should get Jake out now instead? Like, did you ever question that or ever think of that in your head? Or were you always set on voting out Maxim?
Had Maxim got to the end, Maxim was winning this game. Jake, I wasn't too sure about yet.
Right.
So even though, he was coming after me, I was also kind of keeping Jake to see if I could guilt trip him like I did Ivy.
Yeah.
And we'll see if that worked out for me or not. But
we'll see.
I thought I can probably guilt trip Jake because I also think Jake is a very kind-hearted person. I think Jake and Ivy played like emotionally a similar game.
Right.
So I was hoping if I keep Jake, maybe he wins HOH next. I can emotionally, or you know what I mean. You know where I'm getting.
Yeah.
And also, I just knew Maxim was winning this game if had she got to the end.
Right.
Which is great on her.
I do agree.
I wanna ask. So Aiden, obviously, like we go into this double eviction now, and everyone knows that it's just gonna get real because we're going from 6 people to 4 people in span of like 30 minutes. So it's gonna get crazy. So Aiden, you end up winning this. You end up winning the HOH comp. You nominate Brian and Jake, and you said in the episode your reasoning that you didn't want to nominate Madison was because you had nominated her twice already when you were HOH. So obviously that made sense. Was that really the reason why you didn't nominate her? So
no, I wanted Jake or Brian out.
Okay.
But because both of them were. Jake had come up to me at one point and was like, "You betrayed me," and I was like, "When? When the hell did I betray you? I literally did not betray Jake." And even in the previous episode, Jake was like, he said something about me being so loyal to Liz. I didn't fucking nominate you, Jake. I nominated Liz. Are you? So at that point, I was really just, I was just like, okay, I want one of these two out. I'm sick of them. They're not gonna do anything for my game. So Madison, I was like, I've nominated her enough.
Right.
So it was kind of that reason, but I wanted Jake and Brian out.
What did you say, Ivy?
Notice how I wasn't even an option to be nominated.
Right.
No, you just saved me. Why
Ivy's big brain. It's Ivy Franzel.
Why would I nominate someone who just saved me?
Right.
See, I'm loyal. I'm loyal to the people that are loyal to me. That's why I saved Ivy. Honestly, I have said this, but I truly believe Brian and Jake evicting Liz is the reason why Brian went home. I would have not taken out Brian at all. I was bringing Brian to the final 3 or at least final 4.
Yeah.
So,
and so you end up winning the veto and you don't use it. My big question to you is obviously because the vote tied, right? So Madison, let me get this right. Let me look at this real quick. I don't want to get this wrong. Madison voted to evict Brian. Ivy voted to evict Jake. Obviously because Ivy, you were really close with Brian at that point. That was like your +1.
I was like one of like my closest people, and I thought it was like the same as well. Like I thought it was pretty like mutual.
Yeah.
Me and Brian were like this.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And so I can't really speak for Madison on why she voted to evict Brian because I don't actually know that reason. I mean, I can only assume.
I think she might have explained it.
Yeah,
I think I'm pretty sure it was because they didn't get to talk and she didn't trust Brian after flipping.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, I'm stupid. Yeah, no, she did. She said that in the DR when she voted to evict. That's right. And so Aiden, so for you, it was the two of them, and it took you like a good minute to figure out who you wanted to evict when the vote tied. Why did you settle on Brian over Jake at the end of that?
There's a multitude of reasons.
Yeah. So
let's start with the fact, like I said earlier, I think Jake, I could have emotionally manipulated him because, like I said, he's very kind-hearted. I think I could pull on his heartstrings. And Brian had a long list of reasons why to evict him. Mm-hmm. First one being he was the split vote 2 weeks in a row. That's very impressive. That's very good positioning. That's in my opinion, being the split vote 2 weeks in a row and still like kind of being in a good spot after that. Very good positioning. That's a very good social game. 2, I knew Ivy and Brian were close, and I wanted to make sure I was Ivy's number 1. And after me just winning both HOH and veto and not even nominating her, not using the veto and renominating her, and then taking out Brian, I will more than likely become her number 1. And number 3, just in the case that I do believe Ivy is going to be a big threat, I want someone who is going to be better at the competitions. And as proven so far, Jake has done significantly better than Brian. So, and the reason why it took me a minute was because I was looking over my notes to see I kind of forgot who won the competitions at some point. So I was looking over my notes to be like, okay, was this Brian's only HOH win, or did he win something else? I'm just forgetting. So I was leaning towards Brian beforehand, but I couldn't remember about the competitions. That was kind of like the last thing.
And I also want to ask everybody here, who here took notes during the season? Brian, Jaden. Actually, you didn't really take. Ivy, did you take notes?
No, because I didn't think I'd need them.
Right. Okay. I'm just curious. Because I know a few people did. I know Jake did. I remember Jake talked about it a lot during the season. But yeah, anyway. All right, so I think that's like kind of where we leave off now, because now we're going into the final four. The final four is Aiden, Jake, Madison, and Ivy. Yeah, so that's gonna be really. What?
Because there's a battle back. Duh.
Yeah, right.
Had to remember who replaced you.
Heather comes back, guys.
Yeah, Heather's coming back. It's crazy. Yeah, so that's what we're looking for. A really intense final four. It's gonna be awesome, and then. After that, we have the finale. It's gonna be great. So yeah, does anybody have any closing remarks before we end the podcast?
I'm winning.
Well,
I'm winning. That's it. That's all I have to say.
Right.
All right.
Hold on, let me finish this card game. I'm almost done. Oh, never mind. I just finished it.
Bro.
oh,
Right, you're good.
All right. Anyway, yeah. So I think we'll wrap it up here. It's very late, guys, and I'm sorry for keeping you guys up. But yeah, a great episode. I can't wait to actually watch this episode live with all the viewers. It's gonna be great. It's an hour-long episode. Can't wait. That's it. So thank you all.
I should have won.
Yeah.
I have. Let's not get that out there.
I'm surprised I got fifth, honestly.
Right.
This is my first Big Brother show, so on Minecraft especially. So I would be surprised.
Yeah, big ups
so
to
happy.
Brian, big ups to Maxim. Good stuff, guys. Trying to think. Apply for season 9, guys, if you haven't done it yet. Vote for fan favorite. You know, we're still collecting votes. There's been a whole lot of votes that has been cast. So please keep submitting your votes. And yeah, that's it. So from outside the Big Brother house, I'm your host, Andrew Yalo. This is the On the Block podcast. We'll see you guys next week.